Today's style is a Christmas light crown that you could wear for a everyday Christmas sparkly look, because when the lights are off it actually isn't that obvious. Or you could also wear on a night out or a Christmas dinner, as I did. The style stays in place very nicely and is actually very comfortable to wear, surprisingly. Here it is. Let's get started. Okay, so for this hairstyle you will need quite a few things. To start with, a string of lights with a battery pack. This is 1.5 meters long, probably. Your arm span is approximately your height, and I'm 1.65 meters, and this is just longer than that. This was just a cheap set. I believe these ones are from Morrison's. If I was going to do it again, I would actually check the colour of the lights before buying anything. These ones are bright white. They aren't actually the best to look at, and my height means that the lights end up at people's eye level. And I had some comments from the people sitting next to me when I wore this style to dinner. So, warm yellow, perhaps a better bet than bright white, but it's personal preference. You will also need, sorry my table's a wee bit low for me, my favourite accessory currently, which is my deconstructed bun form, folded up like this. This is the same thing that I used in my no backcombing poof video. And I have a small pot of, well, a couple of hairbands, doesn't really matter which ones, and some pins. I have a mix of these pins and bobby pins, which are these. What I'm going to do first is separate out some of my hair. I want a section in the middle back of my head, so I'm going to separate the front. This wants to be a decent chunk because this is what's going to cover over the top. So what we don't want is to have it be not enough, and then the lights battery pack will poke through. Just pin it out the way. Then take a section in the middle of the back and plait it. Normal English braid. Okay? Now we're going to use this plait to form a figure 8 bun. This figure 8 bun is going to be the base on which the battery pack sits. And I'm going to secure it not with a stick as I would normally do, because the stick would then show on the outside, but with 2 split pins. Alright, and I will show you that now. But what I'm going to do is only do the 2 loops. I'll have a tail hanging down that I will wrap around the battery pack to help secure it. If you have shorter hair, you won't be able to perhaps wrap the tail around, but you should still get the 2 loops of the figure 8, so you have the whole 8. Alright? That's going to provide us with a bit of a base for the battery pack. The battery pack will sit on top. It's actually about the same depth as mine, so that actually again helps to disguise the pack and make sure that you can't see it. So I will show you how I do that. It's not difficult, it's just a little bit of fiddling with it really. So I can't particularly explain it. You have to sort of put it in your hair, wrap the tail of your little bun around it and try and find a way to pin the tail so that it's not uncomfortable, because this hairstyle has very good weight distribution but does have quite a few pins. You want to avoid stabbing yourself in the head with one of the pins and leaving it there, because it will annoy you all night. And this part of the hairstyle you won't be able to get back to address it without taking all of your hair down. And that would be very, very sad halfway through a night. Okay? Okay, so that is reasonably stable, and then I have my ends just hanging down. So the other reason to have a line of lights that is not all that much longer than your hair. You might regret it if it's trailing along the ground behind you. Next thing I'm going to do is get the lower hair just towards the back and take this down. I'm going to brush it through and I'm going to plait it. So we're just pulling it back very, very loosely. This needs to be a very loose plait. Again, I'm using a basic 3-strand English plait. You can add more to the end look of this by using alternative plaits, especially at this stage. I'm doing it very loosely because I'm using this plait to secure the hair together so that it will be easier to push over the support and the battery pack. Again, I'm using a very large hairband. It doesn't particularly matter. Sometimes the larger ones are mildly easier to tuck in and stay secured because they're not relying on pins, they're sort of trapped, but they make getting the hair down harder, and sometimes they end up very bulky. It depends where in the end style it ends up. So, pulling this bit forward again, I'm now going to position this. Now, the reason we're using this is because this battery pack has very sharp corners. If I were to just put this over the top, which you can do, the corners will poke through and they'll be quite sharp. So I'm going to secure this over the top, stretch it out a little bit perhaps, if that just helps to create a little bit of a smoother shape over the top of the battery pack. We're disguising the sharp edges, okay? Try and get it even, flip the hair back over, and then arrange. One of the reasons to have this plait be very loose is that you can then push the hair down to the end of the plait so that you have more hair to play with to cover everything. And I will arrange that. It's literally just flopped over the top at the moment. Okay, so now I have my string of lights and I'm going to wrap them around. So they start on the left, I'm going to wrap them around the right. Pin a little bit. And wrap again. Ooh. They do get caught on things. Just keep wrapping these lights until you reach the end. put a pin in. Now you could leave it like this, but I feel these lights look a little bit odd as they are. You can see all of the strings. What I like to do is to cover them up with the rest of my hair, so I have a full updo. Okay, so I'm going to use these two pieces of hair, cover over the front here. I'm going to take this left side underneath the plait, back, and up and around. And it's definitely just a case of positioning and preference. Take the end and tuck and pin. Okay, now I'm going to take the right side, do exactly the same, underneath the plait at the back and around the top. I'm using it to anchor the lights a little bit better. I'm just curling the end around my finger, tucking it up and pinning it where my pins won't be seen. Hopefully. Sometimes this pins won't be seen business doesn't go too well when I'm trying to do this without a mirror. So, again, if you're struggling with your lights moving about, pin them in a few more strategic places. Try to keep the pins as much as you can underneath where the hair is going to cover, but it shouldn't be too bad if you're using hair coloured pins. Pins the same colour as your hair. Okay, this is what it looks like now. And you could leave it like that. Looks perhaps a little bit Star Wars. I'm going to just wrap this around. This is where my hair isn't quite long enough, so I'm tucking the end under and pinning through the hair over the top, just above the hairband, and also pinning below the hairband so that my tail doesn't escape. Okay, here is the finished style. The lights form a bit of a crown and a loop, and the bun has completely covered over the battery pack, which also adds some volume to your bun if that is something that you are looking for. And the layers that we use to do the style mean that it's actually very well weight distributed and it doesn't feel heavy, although I wouldn't want to go with a much larger battery pack. This one is just bigger than the size of 2 AA batteries. You can get some with smaller battery packs, but it's completely your choice depending on how much hair you have, how thick your hair is, and how many lights you would like. So, I will turn on the lights, possibly. The battery pack is just in here, and you can access the little switch on this one by just parting the hair a bit. Hold on to the battery pack with the other hand, or the plait on top of the battery pack. Just wiggle your finger, push the hair back down. Don't know how well this is going to come up on camera, but it does make me feel very, very Christmassy.